Brilliant. So, good afternoon, dear viewers. Today, I'm joined by the awesome Yemi Aduenuga, Ireland's first Black female, and broadcaster, advocate for women issues, youth issues, TV personality. Councillor Yemi is also a two-time best-selling author, development and leadership expert, seasoned entrepreneur. For those of you who've been following us on our Instagram live chat earlier on, I'm sure you've learned a lot. Hence why I believe you followed us. But without any further ado, welcome back to the Maryshow again, Councillor Yemi. I'm so honored for accepting our offer to come and share your knowledge with us.
Delighted to be here. Delighted to be back here, and this time on YouTube and on Facebook.
Brilliant. How are you doing? I know we've addressed a few of the questions that I might have been need to ask you right here, but how are you and your constitute coping up with the current unprecedented times? How are you coping up?
Well, we're not doing badly, I have to say. The people of my constituency in Navan have been fantastic. We are trying our utmost to help flatten the curve in Ireland and keep everyone safe. We recognize that every action taken by each person has a ripple effect on the entire community. Mm-hmm. So it is our responsibility to follow the HSC guidelines, our health service executives guidelines, as well as to listen to the authorities as to how we keeping safe, maintaining the 2 meters social distancing. Right now, we are at phase 1 of the easing of the lockdown in Ireland, where we can only travel 5 kilometers and we can go for a walk 2 kilometers from our homes. And then, you go for a walk, you come back home, you ensure that you're keeping safe and all that bit. We keep washing our hands. People are becoming more conscious of wearing face masks when they go out to protect others, not even just to protect themselves, but to protect others as well. And we constantly help our children when they're playing in the front yard to make sure that when they come back in the house, they wash their hands as well. It's sunny, it's beautiful. People want to go out. People are anxious to get back into the speed of things. Yes. But the reality is we also have to do all that with caution if we're going to keep the curve down. And for the first time, a couple of days ago, Ireland recorded no death since March, when the COVID-19 pandemic started. So for us, that is a huge positive, and we're pretty excited. Yes. So we're working hard at keeping that the reality for us.
Brilliant. Awesome. Good luck on the rest of the projects. But I know currently you are actually running a face mask project that you just mentioned last week. Well, we're going to start talking about your experience, your background, and our main, why the reason why we've actually invited you for interview is not only because you are the first Black female councillor in Ireland, but because I know you come up and you come in with a lot of awesome women behind you that you actually empower and lead. And we want to discuss about that again. But tell me more about the current project that you're running within the spectrum time of the year.
Okay, so there are a number of things that some have started, some are coming up. And it's really just to enable the community stay bonded together. One of the things that has happened over the course of this pandemic is I've seen community spirit come even more alive within my own community of Navan. I've seen people become kinder, friendlier. Those who ordinarily would have kept to themselves for worry of what do I say and am I saying the right thing to people? They've become more outspoken. They've stood up for what they believe is right, and they've gotten involved in the community and supporting other people around them. People check on their neighbors, they call all the time, ensuring that the elderly especially are well looked after. People kind of donate food as well to the various food banks that are available within the community. And I love that. I love that is happening within my community. And I don't want that to stop. I don't want that to stop because, yes, it's happening now during the pandemic and the community spirit is alive. I want it to continue so that we can remain a community that cares, whether or not there is a pandemic. We are seen as a community that really genuinely cares. So one of the things I'm working on right now that has kicked off is our center where people come, and when they want to feel lifted, they want to feel inspired, they have a go-to place. One of the things I discovered during this pandemic is a lot of people are lonely. A lot of people don't have someone who calls them on a regular basis to check on them. Some who do have people who call to check on them, those people are frontliners and so don't get to call all the time. Some of the people who call me, just because I'm their counselor, they call me and we have a chat. They just want to talk. That's all they want to do. They want to talk. And I tell you, half the times I don't even know what it is they really want to talk about because they're talking about different things. But just being able to listen for them is enough. And it's through that I've been able to find that people are very lonely and people need other people to connect with. So I want to keep that going through the center that I've started. We started it online and we're going to keep building it. Wow. I've also started a mask bank in my county of Meath. So we have the Meath Mask Bank. Wow. And I'm doing this as the coordinator of the Mask for All Ireland. So the subgroup is in Meath, my county. And we have a pattern for the mask, which is HSC standard. That's the Health Service Executive Standard. So we have like a little pocket, a pouch in the mask is a twofold where you can put your filter, like a tissue. You put that in and you can take that out and you can throw it off. That's your filter. And you can wash the mask. The mask has a minimum lifespan of 30 ball washes. That's the minimum. So we're very particular about the fabric that we use, which is pure cotton. And the cotton allows people to breathe, to be able to breathe, you know, and people are able to use it for a longer period of time. And we're conscious of the coverings around the different areas on the face. So we have that going. We have that project going as well. And then we also have a project for young people to keep them engaged, especially the kids. So we're going to be announcing that I think next week we're going to release that. Is a project that allows young people become very creative, little children to become creative. And they're going to become, so we want to create young authors through this pandemic, right? Wow. So I'm not going to let that cat out of the bag yet for how that's going to run, but I'm super excited about that because I have partners from different parts of the globe who are involved in that project. People have invited to become a part of that project, and we're going to unveil that sometime late next week or early the week after. We're going to unveil that project. So those are some of the things we have going already.
Brilliant. I love it. Okay, thank you, Councillor, again. But before Councillor, and this is specifically for you because you have been working in different sectors, in media, entrepreneurship. I mean, you've worked as a CEO for D Dimensions Commissions, a holding company, and the creator of 3 signature brands, Shero Global, the MIB classes, and exploring options, of course, within the project. How do you do it? I asked you this earlier. Do you have 32 hours in your day?
If only we all had 32 hours. If we all had 32 hours, wouldn't we be so super excited? Well, I tell you something, even if we had 32 hours, there will not be enough still. We will still be looking for extra hours, wouldn't we? So we've only got the 24 hours and we try to work around it. But what I do really is I always make the best of every single time I have. I see time the way I see life. I don't know how much of it I've got. I look at it like I don't know how much of it I've got. I don't know how long I have to live on earth. I don't know if today is my last day. I don't know if tomorrow is the last day. I don't know if I've got 50 more years. I really don't know. So what I do is the best that I can any given day. I do the best I can. And the best I can is centered around people, making sure that I add value to the lives of the people who encounter me. I always say that I am an encounter. Because if you allow yourself to get to know me and you get to meet me, then what you're having is a pouring and outpouring. I have things I want to pour out, things I want to share. I mean, they always say that the grave is the richest place in the world because there's so many people who died with ideas that they couldn't even bring to life when they were alive. And I don't want to go to my grave with all those things in me. So I won't be able to write all the books in the world, but I can pass it on to other people through sharing it with them and ensuring that their lives are better when they encounter me. So people who allow themselves to get to know me, I mean, if you look on the surface, you might meet me and you might have a different impression. But if you allow yourself to get to know me, then you have that encounter. And my goal is to make sure that everybody who meets me leave me feeling better than when they first met me. So I don't allow myself to see the negative in people first. I see the positive. I look for the positive. And in doing so, then I'm able to draw people to myself who help enhance what I do as a person. I am only one person. I have various initiatives that come alive, but I can't deliver all those initiatives by myself. So I need people to help me do that. So I'm a team player. And so when I better people's lives, they help better my life as well. They help better my project. No man is an island. I cannot sit here and tell you that I've done all those things by myself. That would be stupid of me to say that. I've done those things by the support of people who see the value that I bring and they've come on board. And because I've added value to them, they add value to me as well. You know, so people have helped me get here. People who I have worked with, who have worked with me as well. I believe so strongly in teamwork. So the minute I start something, one of the first things that I do is I build a team around that work and then help those people benefit from being a part of that team. So they learn, they grow, they build themselves, they become motivated and inspired. They learn how to deliver their own work and their own projects by being on projects with me. And everything they learn then, they take it and they use that to enhance themselves as a person. So that's how I do it. I just get people on board. And I love to appreciate the work that people bring on board. I love singing the praises of people when they've done something right. Because I haven't met one single person on this God's earth that when you tell them something positive about themselves, that they slap you in return. I still haven't met that person. But if you tell them a positive thing about themselves, they're excited, they're happy, they're delighted. And the likelihood is that they will want to do more. So I love to recognize, this is one of the things I love doing and I do it a lot. I recognize what people bring to the table. I value it and I celebrate it. And that's why people love to work on the team with me. Any team that I set up, they love working on it. So that's how I get so much done, because I have great people around me.
I like that. You are one of the few successful international citizens that I would like to call that have been very successful on finding their voice. You've successfully found your voice in politics. You're the first councillor, first Black female councillor in whole Ireland in history. You found your voice in journalism. You've run a very successful first-time private talk show in Nigeria for a long time. You're still doing it these days as well. You've successfully found your voice in intrapreneurship, creating organizations that support youth and women empowerment. How can an individual find their voice and be successful at every project that they touch?
Well, like I said when we first had a conversation, finding your voice is something that can only happen when you recognize that you have a voice. If you don't know you have a voice, then how can you find what you don't know exists? The only way to find it is to know that it's there. So you know what you're looking for. So the first thing I'm going to tell anybody who is watching, who's thinking about finding their voice, is recognize that you do have a voice. You have it. Everyone's got a voice.
Yeah.
So the question then is, where is your voice? So you know where to look. If you know where to look, Then you know what first you know what you're looking for, and then you know what it looks like when you find it, right? If you don't know what it looks like, when you find it, you won't even know you found it. So first, you have a voice. Be very clear on that. It doesn't matter. I don't care what people have told you before, that you're irrelevant, that you don't speak well, that you have an accent, that you have this. Forget all that. As a matter of fact, perhaps your accent is the reason why your voice is even more important, because you tick the boxes for diversity.
Amen.
Right? So don't worry about what you sound like, or what your voice sounds like, or what your accent sounds like. Like I say, everyone's got an accent. Everyone, right? So we're sitting here and thinking, oh yeah, I have an African accent. The Englishman to an African man is speaking with an accent. To an African man, the Englishman is speaking with an accent. So everyone has an accent. So don't worry about what your accent is. When I first came to Ireland, there were 4 strikes against me. The first one was that I was a woman. Second is that I'm a Black woman. The third is that I have an accent, an African accent, right? So some people at the time would have been asking, sorry, what was that? Nurse? They would be trying to, some were sarcastic. Some would try and want to correct what I was saying, to deliberately want to rub it in. And the thing I always said was, hello, follow the context. I'm talking about a hospital. So obviously it's a nurse, right? So follow the context of what I'm talking about. Don't try and be sarcastic. Can you understand what I'm saying? If people understand you, create the context. Once they understand you and they know the context, they can follow you. And so you don't need to feel bad at all. You don't need to feel bad at all about your context or about your accent. Don't feel bad about anything, right? Deliver that. Then the second, the last thing was that I was talking about my God in everything that I was doing. And I wouldn't apologize for that, because it's what I believe in. Everybody believes in something.
Yeah.
Everybody believes in something. So this is what I believe in. And I don't rub it in people's faces. I just share it as it has benefited me, as I bring it on the table. Right. So that in itself is an advantage. So if you're going to find your voice, you have to, first of all, block out the noise. You will be distracted by so many things. You have to listen to that inner thing. If you don't hear yourself, how do people hear you? Then secondly, where lies your voice? Your voice lies in the thing that you're good at. That thing that you love, that you can do to bring about a change to people's lives, or to put a smile on people's faces, to make a difference. Therein lies your voice, right? So if you are good at helping people organize their tables, helping people organize things, if you're very good at that, then help people organize. So if you go into a person's space and it's chaotic and you're brilliant at organizing stuff, help them organize it, right? Don't go in and say, my God, you're so dirty and you're so disorganized. And you ask them, do you mind if I help you? I'm good at organizing stuff. Do you mind if I help you? So you help them organize it, right? You've brought something positive. And then when you do that, I'm using this as an example, right? So when you organize for people consistently, you do it over and over and over and over again, even you become very good at it. Even you will start to recommend, well, if you buy this shelf, this specific type of shelf is good for books. If you buy this specific type of shelf, it's great for flower vases. If you buy this specific type of shelf, it's good for pictures. You know why you can say that? Because you've done it for people. You've actually practicalized it. And then suddenly you find people coming to you and saying to you, you helped number 1, number 2, number 3 persons organize, and you were able to get all these different things. Can you help me? People start to come to you because you've done it over and over. You didn't read it in a book. You were doing it and you've become so good at it. That's how experts are made. That's how gurus are made. The power of consistency. You do it over and over and over and over and over again till you become so good at it that people would want you to do it for them. And then when you've become a master at it, when you speak about it, you speak with authority. People will listen because you have the experience to show for it. And people will come to you and ask you. Even people who sell shelves will start to say, well, if you want this particular shelf, I think Mary knows how to organize with this shelf. Ask her. You become a point of reference, right? And that's how you become a guru. And then when you speak, you're speaking from a point of confidence and a point of authority. That's your voice. Because you know what you're talking about. Because nobody will question that. When they do, you can tell them, I've done this for 15 years. Like I bought all the shelves they are to buy, and I know what fits what. And then I can tell you that from experience. And there lies your voice. The things that you know, the things that you've done, the things that you're confident at doing, the things that you've been so consistent at. If you're wondering where those things are, how you can find them, hear what people have told you that you're good at already. People might have told you and you didn't pay attention. People might have been saying, oh, you make such beautiful cups of tea. Or, Lord, when I listen to you speak, I just feel a calmness. So maybe you'd be great at just listening to people and then sharing some of your experience with them to give them a calm.
Yeah.
So some people might have said things to you that would help you as well.
I agree. And one of the awesome questions that we received earlier on when we were on our Instagram live video was from America, right? And my cousin Salam asked about how can, so we found our voices, right? How can, as an international citizens, right, as a global citizens, how can we help narrate our own stories as a global citizen, but as people from different background and heritage? How can we translate that? You've successfully managed to do that. You were a very successful TV presenter in Nigeria. You immigrated to Ireland, and you find your voice in politics and the politics sphere. And now you're one of the people that I see connecting the dots. How can someone do that?
Well, first of all, and this is for everyone. It's not just for people in the diaspora who have African origin. For anyone who is in the diaspora from any origin whatsoever, right? Once you migrate, you have to first leave the thinking of, okay, I'm just going to leave here. If you're going to leave, say if you're going there for a year, you're going to do a training course or something. That's different, right? So you're going to do a training and you're going back to your original country. That's different. But when you reside in a place, you live in a place, and that's your life. That's where you have your children. That's where you're working. You need to have the mindset of, this is now where I am living. And there's a benefit within that community for you. And there's a benefit that you also should be bringing to that community by virtue of your presence in that community. You're not there to tick the boxes of diversity and inclusion. You're not there to tick the boxes of migration. You're there to bring something, right? So you don't want people to just see you as a number, right? You don't want them to just see you as a Black person. So I'll use the Africans as an example. You don't want people to just see you and say, yeah, that African man or that African woman. You go there as the human being that you are. If you weren't Black, what would you be doing? If you don't just see yourself as a Black person, if you were not Black, if that's a hindrance for you to perform, if you weren't Black, what would you be doing? So I do understand that there are hindrances in the way. There are the issues of racism and all the isms they are. Yes, those come to play. But you also have to, in order to fight those and not enable those through your stopping yourself, you have to enable yourself to see yourself as a global citizen. You play your role first so that you would know clearly that you've done your bit. You cannot not have an education and expect to have a job in an office in diaspora. It doesn't make sense. So the first step is, how do you make yourself a global citizen? When you get into that space, there are some countries you go into that money is not the biggest thing you can make. Perhaps an education is the best thing you can get. And the education then enhances you making the money or living a better life. So think of that. First of all, how do I make myself a global citizen? Look, the passports we carry around these days, there is not the attestation of the citizens we are. When we go outside of our countries, we want to live in other places and become part of that. That's global citizenship. That's global citizenship. Until people ask you, as a Black woman, if people didn't know I was Nigerian, they will just think she's African. Until they ask me and I tell them I'm Nigerian, or if they knew before, they would think of me first as an African. So they wouldn't know what passport I carry until I tell them. So in order for me to make myself relevant as a diasporan in any country, right? I have to first see myself beyond being Black. I have to see myself as a human being. So as a human being, what do I want to make of my life? And I work towards that. I look for all the resources that are available to enhance me becoming that thing I want to be. And I pursue it. Nothing is easy. Nothing good in life comes easy. So if it needs extra pursuing, I always say everything I have done, not just even when I was in Africa, the struggles I've been through, I had challenges. The strikes against me one of them was because I was a girl. It was a big strike against me, and yet I was in Africa. So there are always challenges, not just because we're in diaspora. So how do I make sure that I cross those hurdles? I look for the things that enhance what I want, and I go for it. I find the people who are there, who can enhance me getting what I want, and I connect with them. And then I bring value to that connection. I bring value to that network so that they know I'm not just there to take, I'm also there to give. Wow. In adding value to that network, they help me become global citizen. So when I meet people who are not of my own background, I bring the value to them. They also talk about the value that I bring to other people who then see me beyond being a Black Nigerian woman. They see the value that I offer. And if after all that, somebody somewhere chooses to just see the Black, well, they're the ones who are going to lose the value that I bring. Their loss, not mine. But those who choose to see the value benefit from what I have to offer. But I have to first bring the value. I have to first build me to be able to bring the value. So that's one thing. Let's think outside being just where we come from. The second thing is that a number of people migrate. They just are people from a country who live in that country they're now resident in. They don't bring themselves to become citizens, residents of that country. And how do you do that? You have to engage with the locals. You have to go out there and find community groups that you can volunteer with, volunteer for. You have to know your neighbor enough to be able to say, do you know what? Look, I made jollof rice today. It's Nigerian jollof rice. Do you want to try? Do you know? And they're like, I don't know that for the, yeah. How are you going to know it if you don't try it? Come on. I made puff puff today. Do you want to try? You know, you confidently say, you're not afraid to say it because you're proud of your heritage. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You're not hiding anything. You bring that because there's a benefit in what you do. That's two. Number three, you see, I don't like this thing when people say, oh, because I have a white friend or because I have a Black friend, then I'm not racist. It's not enough to say that because you have a friend who's a different color, that means you're not racist. You have to stand up and be anti-racist and stand for anti-racism, right? You have to stand for something, speak it out, that no, I don't support racism, right? I know I don't want to bring this conversation into it, but it is a reality of our times. So, and I know that it holds a lot of people back from doing things, right? So racism is not just about white to black, it's also from black to white.
Yeah.
So we don't enable it. If you're not doing anything about it, if you just say, oh yeah, do you know what? It's not happening to me. So you are an enabler. If you're not standing against it, you're an enabler. So aside from that as well, we have to remember that we're raising our children. If we're in diaspora, we're raising children in a community that they now know as home. Their understanding of the world is different from ours. Those of us who came, you know, the first generation Irish, say like the African communities, their understanding of stuff is completely different, right? So we have to help them feel at home. We have to be proud of our background, our heritage, teach them their heritage, where they come from, and also encourage them to live in their home, which is, for example, Ireland. They have to feel like Irish citizens. They have to know that they're Irish citizens, as well as having an African heritage. If that's not a double win, I don't know what is. They have double the opportunity that any other person who lives in a country and have never lived anywhere else have. So they should be proud of that. And you should help them feel proud of that. And that's how we step into living well within our community and being able to deliver what we have, what we carry, the values we bring from our various backgrounds that we can bring to the community. People already have this bias. There's so much unconscious bias that people carry around, right?
Yeah.
And if we don't show them what they don't know, we don't just talk it, we show it by our actions, there's no way they will ever know, or there's no way we will ever know if people don't show us by their actions.
Yeah.
So it's a two-way thing, and everyone has to play their role to ensure that we're not just diasporans living in a country, but we're diasporans who are part of that country that we're living in.
Yes. I think that's the fine line for a long time people have been missing, because when I first came to England, a lot of people from my community, I see them struggle or find it so untouchable or unreachable, the goal that their kids would normally have. Let's say if your kid in common told you, I want to be the next prime minister, instead of laughing like in front of his face, they could have just said, why not? I don't see that confidence within. And I think this is the fine line that we've been missing, that I'm actually so happy that you've touched it. We have to, unless we start seeing ourselves as being part of the community that we're integrating at every big level.
People should ask this question of themselves and answer it honestly. Ask yourself, where is home? If you're a diasporan, answer this question. Where is home? Be honest with yourself. Wherever home is in your head, when you answer that straight away, that will determine how you act where you're living right now. If you're an African, for example, and you've lived in, I would use Ireland because Ireland is where I live, and you've lived in Ireland for the good part of 15, 20 years, and you're still in Ireland, and you're still working in Ireland, and your children are raised in Ireland, and in your head you're saying, well, I'm going home to Africa. Yes, Africa is still your home, it's your background, right? But every time you're thinking, I'm going to do things home, I'm going to do that's all you think of, well, then you're never really going to allow yourself to enjoy the full benefit of Ireland, and you're never going to allow yourself to bring anything to your community in Ireland. But if you see Ireland as home, then you will begin to add value to home, because nobody wants their home to remain the same. No one wants their home to be stagnant. They want to, when you think of house, literally, your home, literally, you get to a stage, maybe every 3 years, every 4 years, every 5 years, you want to redo the house, don't you? You want to paint it over, or every 2 years, people repaint their home, or those who do the wallpaper, they want to change the look. They bring something extra. They bring a value. And that's the same way. You have to bring a value to your community if it is really home for you. So answer the question, where is home?
I agree. a lot of people, whilst we're here, and then we'll go to my next question. Some people say they don't see color, and then obviously during this time, and you've seen what's happening in America, and a lot of people are just saying, "Oh, we don't have people on legislative bodies. We don't have people on, government." What do you say about that? I don't want to narrate the question.
Yeah, it depends on what question you really want answered, because this is broad. There's so many things attached to this. So it depends on what area you want me to focus on. Is it on the fact that the things are happening, or is it on what people are thinking about what is happening, or is it on what exactly do you want me to focus on? Because I could go on and on.
Okay, brilliant. No, that's fine. Because the reason why I didn't want to narrate it for you earlier on was because I don't want to give you the impression of, please talk about 13. But now that you've said it, it's more important about how can we, as a community from different backgrounds, right, can make the best version of ourselves so that we participate equally on the communities that we live on, whether it's in politics, whether it's in medics, whether it's in social media, whether it's media, whatever. How can we make ourselves the best version of ourselves to better the community we live in as people from a diverse background, but obviously as a people of color?
Well, the first thing, directly in answer to that question, and then I might add a few things in between. The first thing is, if we're going to make the best of ourselves within a community that we live in, we first have to see ourselves as somebody who is able to bring something. And it goes back to what I said earlier on. You first have to see the value in yourself. You have to build yourself enough to be able to bring something to your community. And whether you're a doctor, whether you're a frontline worker, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a homemaker even, because homemaker have the task, or they have a high task of raising children, raising good men and good women. Parenting is not an easy job. It's not an easy, I always doff my hat, because it's not the easiest thing to raise a child. It's a huge responsibility. So when people take that on and do the best, genuinely, truly do the best they can, we all as a society have a united goal to ensure that our community is best and better for the collective work that we do together. In Africa, they say it takes a whole village to raise a child. So it's that thing of us looking out for one another and not pulling each other down, but rather saying, no, this is the child of this person. It is important to me that this community does not get stigmatized by castigating or casting aspersions on a particular group of people. No, I'm going to play my role in ensuring that I stop this child from doing this thing so that there's no further negative bias for this particular group of people, right? So one has to first recognize that they can bring something and bring that. With all that is happening across the globe, it's very sad that in this age and time, we see that happening. And that leaders who are supposed to be the ones stopping and putting a whole stop to these kind of things are enabling it through their actions and through their words and through their speeches. And they're fueling some of these narratives. It's bringing back the old rhetorics of, look, this space is for this particular group of people. They forget that diasporans bring a whole lot to any community when they come in.
Yeah.
We see beyond the color, and we see that good, bad, ugly is in every community anyway. Everywhere you go, there's the good of that community, there's the bad of that community, there's the ugly of that community. And that's why you have laws in place. When somebody steps out of line, you follow the law to deal with the issue. You deal with that issue. But when somebody decides to take the law into their own hands and deal with a person,
wow,
regardless of the law, then they should be dealt with by the law.
Wow.
They should be dealt with by the law. Anyone, look, it doesn't matter where that person comes from. Anyone who chooses to become what's that phrase I'm looking for now? To take justice into their own hands, they should be dealt with by the law. And who takes the benefit of the uniform they wear or the authority they carry to ruin the lives of other people, never mind color, they ruin the life of another human being, then they should be dealt with by the law. Okay. I said this earlier on. It's not enough to say, when people say I'm not a racist, and I'm not talking about just black to white, white to black or black to white. When people say I'm not a racist, it's not enough to say you're not a racist. You have to stand against racism. You have to pick your grounds and say, I do not support it. If you're not saying that, you're an enabler. It's as simple as that.
Yes.
And so when you stand against it, your actions will show that you stand against it.
100%. I agree.
And for people in our community, in the diaspora, we have a role to play. Mm-hmm. We have a huge role to play to help ourselves understand that this is a time in history where we cannot just sit on the fence anymore. Mm. We have a role to play in teaching our children the power of self-confidence, mm-hmm. the power of understanding self, who they are. They are global citizens and they're people who bring a value to any community. We cannot slap a tag on them and make them targets for anybody. Mm. We have to teach them some of the great values that have made us the good people that we are. We have to hand that down to them as well. Okay. And be mindful of not raising a generation of people who are going to deliver the very thing that we stand against. Wow. So I don't know if that answers your question directly.
Very, very certainly. You've provided justice to that question, honestly, in all levels, because it is what it is. And I think if we don't speak openly about our own challenge and what we need to do, we wouldn't be able to solve it at all. And that's why I got your answer. Yeah.
Look, racism is a reality.
Yes.
You know, it is what it is. We have to call it what it is. It is a reality that we have to face and stop dancing around it and stop tiptoeing around it. Mm. It's about time we stopped tiptoeing around it and address it and speak the reality of it. Awaken people's consciousness. It starts with the simple acknowledgement that everyone already has an inbuilt bias. And we recognize that. And once you recognize that, then you can begin to deal with your own bias that you carry with you. It's inbuilt, it's there. You have a prejudice already, right? And when you address that, then you constantly awaken your consciousness. Actually, am I doing what I am speaking against? Okay, I better be mindful of that now. Because if you don't do that, it means that you totally support it. And that's why you act that way. So we all need to be mindful of how we say things, how we deal with things. It doesn't mean that we don't speak, but you speak honestly the things that better people's lives, not the things that pull people down. If you look at a person and you say because they're green or purple or white or black, and that's the reason why, even though they're qualified, they won't get a job. So if they weren't black, would they have gotten that job? If that's the way you would respond, just simply because of their color, that's why they're not getting the job, and you say you're not a racist, please, you need to go and recheck yourself.
It is what it is. One thing you're very, very passionate about, besides making people's communities' life better, is the empowerment of women, especially within entrepreneurship, the empowerment of youth on identifying their best version of themselves, but not only just becoming the best version of themselves, whether it's men or women. Tell me more about the awesome global project that you have, which is called Sheroes and the MIB.
And the MIB. Okay, so I'm going to start with the MIB. So the MIB Academy. MIB stands for Motivate, Inspire, Build, right?
Yeah.
So MIB came about a couple of years ago when more and more people were asking me, oh, would you deliver training for us? Like, I get invited to speak in different parts of the world. So I travel to speak at conferences, at seminars, and I deliver workshops and facilitate a lot of those. And people would repeatedly ask me, so how do we get to do a one-on-one with you? Or how do we get to attend maybe something more, a further training to what you spoke about at a conference? And so I took the opportunity that there's no way I'm going to be able to attend to everybody one by one. So then I developed the MIB class. It started with the classes where I would work with people in the classes online long before the pandemic started. The MIB classes have been online. So we were kind of like way ahead of the pandemic. So a lot of the trainings would have happened online where I couldn't go to all those countries to do the training, but I would ask people to connect. And twice every month, I would train people. And it just started to grow organically. It started to grow. And that's how the MIB Academy came about. So it's a training development organization for personal development, when you want to grow, for people development and people growth, and for leadership, people who want to grow and develop themselves. You want to build yourself, you come to the MIB Academy.
I have attended and it was brilliant.
You've been at my training before, haven't you?
Yeah, I did. It was phenomenal. I came into, I thought I will just attend the first 20-30 minutes, and then before I know it, I was there for 2 hours or 3 hours and end up dancing with you. So
I mean, you can't come to an MIB event. We have our online conference now, and our first conference was just explosive. You cannot come to an MIB event and leave the same. If you do, something is wrong. Something is wrong somewhere, and it's not with us. So when you come to an MIB conference, you're coming, first of all, you have to come with a mindset to change something. And then we focus on the one thing you want to change. And that's how we build our topics of training. And then secondly, whatever you change, when you come to that training, you go and put it to practice. It's not theory, it's practical. You learn it, you go do it. That's the charge we give the people who come to the academy. We want to see the growth. So we follow up with you, and then we do plenty of one-on-ones, right? And then we follow up with that. So that's the MIB Academy. And we run 3 different events in the academy. The first one is our classes, which is twice every month. And so people can follow when we have the classes. We have we've had full classes in recent times. So now we're going to be putting out a call out for more new students, really, who want to join in some of the new classes. So you can follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, and you'll be able to see when our training programs are coming up. And then we also do the MIB conference, which is where we motivate, we inspire, and we build people to become, oh my goodness, you need to come to a conference for you to understand it. It's not a regular kind of conference. You cannot be the same. And you know what I'm talking about, Mary Magdalene.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
And then the third thing is Elevate. So Elevate is our storytelling program at the MIB Academy, where we teach people to share their story, their own authentic story. People have so much to tell, but don't know how to tell it. And it comes to the question you were asking me earlier on about people finding their voices. So when you learn to tell your story, it helps you find your voice as well. And when you tell it the first time, it may not be as great. You tell it the second time, you edit it. You tell it the third time, it gets better. You tell it the 4th, 5th, 6th time, you become a guru at telling it. And every time you now tell it in different places, you know which part of the story to pick, to tell, to be relevant to the issues that you're dealing with at that particular event. So that's what we do with Elevate, and we help people find their voices to tell their story. We teach them how, we create the platform. So Elevate is also a platform where you are able to tell your story. We give them that platform to tell the story and to learn how to tell their stories. So that's MIB, right? And I welcome people to connect, and I can only tell you that your life will not be the same again when you join the MIB Academy. The Sheroes Global. Shiros Global started in 2012. And the idea of Shiros at the time when it started, it's a not-for-profit. When it started, the idea of it was to help women become supportive of one another. You know, there's always this talk about women pull themselves down. You see a woman succeeding, and then you say, "Oh, who is she? Who does she think she is?" Rather than saying, "My goodness, she's so great. I love what she's doing. You know, I value what she's doing." And if you want to do what she's doing, what's wrong with you stepping up to her and saying, "I love what you're doing. I would love to do what you're doing. How can you help me do that?" What's wrong with doing that? Rather than saying, "Well, there's no big deal. I can do it too." Well, go try do it, because you don't know the sweat and blood she's put in to get where she's gotten to. You don't know how many years of sacrifices she's made to get where she's gotten to. You don't know the story. So you can't begin to say, "Yeah, I'm going to get there," without knowing her story. So with Shiros then, it was kind of like a platform for women to come and feel safe.
Wow.
To share their stories without being judged. And it's just, that just exploded and began to grow organically. And before you could say Jack Robinson, in 2015, we started the Sheroes Global Awards, where we encourage women to nominate a woman who is their Shero, extraordinary things that these women are doing, but they're ordinary people. They're not celebrities. They're not society people. Any woman who you know who is doing something to make an impact, to create an impact, to make a change in her community, she's a Shero. So if you put her name forward, we have a selection panel. We don't have a panel of judges. Like we always say, we're not judging anybody. We always have huge numbers in nominations. And the tasks of our panel then is to select 10 out of those women who've been nominated. It's a difficult task, but somehow they always manage to, do justice to it. And we always tell people when they're nominating, try and get as much information in, because the selection panel will work based on the information you've sent in.
Oh, wow.
And so we select the 10. And when we have the awards itself, when you enter that room, and when we begin to celebrate those 10 women, by the time you leave that room, you've never heard their names before, you will know them. You will know who they are, the way we celebrate them. And they feel like queens. And by the time they're out there, knowing that they are Sheroes, that their community appreciates them, they will go and do more. And there's a ripple effect. And then we've developed other projects. One of our flagship project right now at Shiros Global is our Shiros Boys to Men project. I am super proud of that project. And I am so delighted that it's growing. The Boys to Men project is a project where we're working to raise a generation of good men.
Amen.
Our goal at that project is to raise good men. So we ask men in communities to stand up and take responsibility and become mentors for the boys in their communities. It's not enough to say that a boy is naughty or a boy is taken to drugs and to alcohol. The community plays a big role in what that child becomes. So we ask men in the community. There's so many boys who are living without either their fathers physically, or where the fathers are present physically, some of the fathers don't play their role as a father. And sometimes it's out of no fault of the father. It's what society has, the damage that has been caused to them by the encounters they've had with society. So we ask men who are upright and who are good and who are respected by the communities to stand up and play a role in helping the boys in their community grow up to be good men. A good man will be a good father. He just has to be a good man first. A good father, even if he's not married to the mother of the child, he will play his role as a father in the life of that child. And that's what a lot of our young boys are missing. That fatherly role, that fatherly figure. Right. So a good man will stand up and take responsibility and play his role as a father in the life of a child, and not leave a woman alone to play both roles, father and mother. A good man would be a good husband. He will see the value that his wife brings to their relationship. He will see the value that his wife brings to his life as a man.
True.
When she's helping him become a better person, he will recognize it and he will celebrate it. He will celebrate her successes, celebrate her achievements, and be proud to tell the world, you see that great woman out there? She's my wife. Rather than saying, woman, you need to tone it down. Nah. He needs to elevate her and help her feel better. And then she'll be able to do more for him because she's built to be his helper. A good man will also be a good colleague at work. You know, he will respect a woman who is his boss. Maybe she's the executive director. And he wouldn't say, oh, yeah, she slept her way through to the top because she's a woman. No, he will respect the value she's brought to that work, to that business, to that organization. And he will know that she's deserving of that promotion and that position. So that's what we're doing with the Boys to Men project. And right now, our training program for our mentors is going online, where all our mentors will be trained online. And the end result is where they now open a Boys to Men club in the different communities. It is a global project that is spreading like wildfire, and we're super excited. Another project we have, I'm going to finish on this one, is the Sheroes Exploring Options project.
Oh, wow.
So what we do with that is we go into schools and we speak to young people about what they can do with their lives. They start to think from year one in secondary school. What are you good at? What do you like doing? What do you want to become? So what are you good at already now? What can you start trying out now? So that you don't wait until you've finished your secondary school and you're going into university and you're still not sure what you want to do with yourself. There's some young people that would never be academic minded. You open their brains and you put the book in, it will never sink. But you give them something to do with their hands. My God, they will wow you. So it's identifying those set of young people as well and encouraging them to start being creative and not feel terrible about it. One of the things I would love to see happen in the world is that vocational training be recognized as a form of education. It is education. Come on. You know, look at all the businesses around the globe. You know, they started off, those who were running them started off going to vocational training. Look at the chair, the beautiful piece of furniture I'm sitting on. That came out as a result of somebody attending vocational training and becoming a fantastic craftsman who made this furniture. How can you not recognize that as education? How can we not recognize that? Why do we restrict it to just the four walls of a school? If we help our young people, it's this story of telling a fish that because it cannot fly, it is not successful. All a fish knows to do is swim, right? Birds fly, the fish will swim. So we have to encourage our children who are flyers to fly and encourage those who will swim to swim, and stop telling those who will swim that if you don't fly, then you are a failure. That's absolutely wrong. And that's why a lot of our young people find themselves in dead-end jobs that they're miserable at. So that's what the Exploring Options project does. And with all the work that I've done with young people over the years, I put all that together in a book, which we call the Exploring Options book.
Wow.
Yes. And when we go to deliver career guidance in schools across the globe, wherever we're invited to, we go deliver it. We give this book free. We don't sell this book. We give it free to all young people that we work with. I wrote this book, and it helps people to explore all the various options available to them, you know, as they begin to think of a career path.
Wow.
And we're going to put this book online so people can download it free. The reason we still print the hard copy is there are some places in countries that young people who don't have access to online downloading. So they still want the hard copy. So we still print that. And the way we've been able to get this across to different young people across the globe is that people come forward. When we started, I sponsored the first 1,000 copies. Then I had friends step up and say, look, I'm going to support that. And they say, okay, what school are you going to today?
Wow.
750 copies. Oh, I'll sponsor 10. I'll sponsor 100. And that's how we bring the books. And up till today, we've given out 12,500 copies of this book free to young people in different parts of the globe. And so this project is very important for me because we're trying to get our young people to be futuristic in their thinking, to step outside the box and appreciate what they already know as well. And of course, our Entrepreneurship Academy teaches a lot of vocational stuff. We teach young people to learn how to make slippers. We have our summer slippers for the young people where we teach them to use fabric. For example, this beautiful dress I'm wearing, if for any reason there's a hole in it and I can't even send it to recycling, our young people can take the fabric and make slippers, summer slippers for customers. And in so learning, they also learn to pitch to potential customers who sometimes are older people. So they go pitch to them I want to make your beautiful, unique slippers that is unique to you, because the fabric in that slippers will be your fabric that you're going to give to me to make your slippers. And so they make a slippers for 10 euros. For every 10 slippers they make, they get to keep 50 euros. They bring back 50 euros. We buy more raw materials with that. And
Wow.
what that does then for the young people in our community is, during the holidays, it's a summer project. It keeps them off the streets during the summer. A lot of young people are looking for summer jobs, and it's not there. There's a limit to how many jobs, how many young people a job can take.
Yeah.
So this is a summer job that they get involved in, and it keeps
Wow.
them busy. Through the summer, they're busy making slippers, and they get excited about the different designs that they get to make,
Yeah.
and that can make money as well. So it's a training, and for them, it's also a summer job that they're doing. So these are some of the things that we're doing with Sheroes, and I'm super. And now we're in 6 countries. We started in Ireland. We're now in Ireland, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Sierra Leone, in South Africa, and in Malawi.
I love it. I mean, this is the reason. When me and my team members, I did mention this when we were on an Instagram chat. We were doing the background check, and then obviously they were making research as a team, because that's how we do it. And they asked me, so how are you going to navigate this interview? Like, and I'm like, if I know, I would have told you guys. Can you just gather information? And I don't think I would be able to honestly summarize any topic if I open my mouth with you or in front of you. And so now what we're going to do is, obviously we need to go we were already on live for over an hour, and I don't feel like I have spoken to you for 5 minutes, right?
Oh my Lord.
I know, but we've had our Instagram interview as well, but I wanted to touch base on this few things that I wanted before I let you go to do another, because
okay, so we're gonna make it short.
Yes, because
and I will be direct to the answers.
No. No. Please be as explainable as please make it as explainable as you can, because it's great, and this is the only platform where we can all come together and share knowledge. And I mentioned this to you. We've had for a long time, our stories have been told by different media companies, by different people for different purposes, and we've never had that family or candid platform where we can leverage and learn wisdom from our people that have done it, lived it, and proved that things can work by just owning your story, right?
Yes.
And now you've successfully managed to sell 2 books, and then you've got this book that you just showed me, and one of your books that I really love is the Thank You Gratitude book.
This one, The Power of Thank You.
Tell me more about it.
Okay, I'm going to be quick about this one, right? So this was my first book, right? And this book wasn't actually meant to be a book when I started writing it. I will tell you honestly, it wasn't. I didn't start writing it to be a book. It was just something I was writing when I was 45. Mm-hmm. I wanted to say thank you to 45 people who had helped me on my life's journey to get where I was at that time. Yes. And so I'd listed the 45 people, and I wanted to write something to say thank you to them. And on a daily basis, I was posting something. I wanted to do it for 45 days leading to my 45th birthday that time. And on a daily basis, I would pick one person and say thank you. And I would write what I felt and what they had done specifically for me. And the reason I chose to do this was there are too many people who die, and the only time we get to hear how phenomenal they are is at their funeral. They weren't told that when they were alive. Their friends don't gather around and say, today we want to celebrate Mary Magdalene because she's a fantastic young lady. But you find people gather at a funeral and start saying all this great stuff about people, then people ain't going to hear it when they're gone. So I thought I wanted to tell the people what helped me on my life's journey. I wanted to tell them what I felt about them. And so I wrote all these things and wrote specifically the things they've done to help me in my life's journey, everything they brought. And I did that. And as I wrote it and posted it, it all started. In posting it, some other things started to come to me. I will wake up in the middle of the night and a message will come to me about something I posted the day before. And I always write stuff down. I have tons and tons of things, of diaries, of things I write down all the time. I get a revelation, I wake up, it's right there beside my bed. I write it down. And by the way, if you want to be a successful person, please learn to write something down. I always say that the faintest ink is better than the sharpest memory. If you're watching this interview and you don't get a chance to watch it back again, you won't remember half the things I've said. If somebody asks you, what did Yemi say? You'll be like, oh my God, she was phenomenal. She said all those great things. What specifically? Pick one. You may not even be able to remember one directly, but you will know that it was good, right? So I always encourage people, write it down so that when you look at it 10 years from now, it will remind you, perhaps the thing you wrote down 10 years ago is that thing you need for a situation you're going through, a challenge you're going through 10 years later. So I started to write those things down and they began to come together. And it showed me that I was being grateful, for the great things that had happened to me. And I recognized that I wasn't on that journey by myself, that people had sown into my life. So then I thought, wow, and every time I wrote about somebody, those people came back and they all literally were saying the same thing in different ways, that nobody had ever come back to thank them for something they'd done a few years back. People don't come back. You don't go back and say, oh, thank you for 10 years ago. Thank you for last year. Or we just say thank you on the spur of the moment and then we don't go back later. But to have me come back and say thank you for something that some of them didn't even remember they'd done it. So that's how this book came together. Wow. And then the book I started to write in the book about how powerful thank you is, how it can open doors for you. And I started to think about the things thank you has done for me, and then I put all that in the book and I made it a book that is easy to read. It's not the kind of book you read chapter by chapter. No, you can just do this and every page says something. Very simple to read, very simple to take in. Every page has a message. And that's how powerful the book is. That's how this book came about.
Unbelievable. It's amazing because you know how we sometimes, even when people just think of writing a book, a lot of things come to you and you don't know where to start. Right? When projects or visions or any impartation, for me, I call it impartation. When the Holy Spirit imparts me, I come up with ideas on what I want to do. How do you start? Are you the type of person to just start, okay, I'm going to do it? Or are you the type of person you strategize, plan, think about it? Is there any moment or opportunity or any guidelines that you've gotten from the Holy Spirit or God or whoever you want it, the big creator, that slipped out of you because you haven't actioned on it? Or how do you go about it?
Okay, that's a very interesting question because years ago, I'm a strategist, right? I'm a strategist. And years ago, I used to be a person that would want everything to be laid out before I start doing it at all or before I tell anybody about it. So it would have taken longer the way back then to do anything because I would spend too long planning. And then to bring it to reality, I would start second guessing myself. What if people don't like it? What if it doesn't come out right? What if it's not good? What if it doesn't say what I wanted to say exactly? And when I started to build myself and I became a strategist, I realized that who says it has to be perfect? And what's the definition of perfect, really? What's the definition of perfect? So the only time you get to learn how to do is by doing. We learn to do by doing. You do it. When you do it, I've known authors who've written tons of books, and their first few books, they'll tell you, nah, don't go read that. That was when I was. But the only reason they could start writing and getting better is because they wrote first. They started first, right? So if people are here watching or listening and they think of writing, right? Just write it. Just the first thing you want to think about is, what am I trying to say? What do I want anybody? If I was a person who would pick up this book and read, what do I want to teach me?
Mm-hmm.
What do I want myself to learn from reading this book? If you answer that question rightly, you know where you want to go with the book. So that gives you a focus of what you want to try and say with the book. So the next challenge is, how do you say it? Don't bother struggling with that, because that's a difficult question to answer when you start. Don't bother struggling. Just pour out everything. Pour it out. As it comes to you, write it down. Put it down. Don't try to edit it in your head. No. Just put it down. Thank goodness there's something called a computer that you can type and save on cloud, so you never lose the document. Just type it. Type it in. And that's where you have people who are called editors and proofreaders. So you can get them, you can tell somebody, or people who help you write books. You tell them, I'm trying to write a book. So I've put so much down, but I don't really know how to break it into chapters or make it look like a proper book. They will take your story, they will take what you've written, and they will help you break it down for you. And they make it look like a book. So that's their job. But you pour the story out first. You pour what you want to say out first. And by the time it's out, people won't remember all the challenges you went through. By the way, this book, when I was trying to publish, I self-published this book. When I was trying to publish, I went to about 4 different international publishers. And my Lord, they wanted my head. Like, oh, it cost you this, very expensive. And I'm like, what? Is this what I'm going to have to do? No, that's more expensive. And they were like, yeah, but if you want to get this, if you want to do this. And I thought, you know what? Now, let me give this a go. And you see this design in front?
Yeah.
That was my idea. This is my design. Every single page in this book, I don't know if people can see it. I sat down, every dot, every print, every design, that was me. I sat down, did everything. And how did I do it? I picked up books that I loved what they look like. And I looked at different designs, and they guided me in what I would love my book to look like. And I started to design it. And then we have the book. And today, it meets any global standard. It's the bestseller.
Yes, I'm happy.
If you want to write a book, just write. Just write. And then get people who know what they're doing to look at it. If anybody wants me to help them with it, I will be happy to.
Where can they get the book?
Well, they can go on my website, www.yemiadenuga.com. I think we're going to type that as we go on the show. We're going to type that in, and then you can go on the website and you can order the book on the website. And that the book as well is going to be online, and you can download online as well. But for now, you can go on the website and you can order a copy of the book online on my website.
My dear Yemi, Councillor Yemi, what's next for you?
For now, I am building incredible teams in the different things that I'm doing. And I'm loving the change that I'm seeing in people. I'm loving the change that I'm seeing in my community, that I'm bringing about with the support of the team that is working with me. And what I would love to see when we come out of this pandemic, but look, the reality is that our normal is now a new normal. Yes. Things are different. Things are not going to be the same again. You walk into the shops now in Ireland, you have to queue. You have to get on the queue. There's a certain number, the numbers that have to be in a shop at any given time. So you wait your turn, right? I mean, I haven't had my nails done since the pandemic. So if you're thinking in your head, oh, if somebody touches me, am I going to contract something? Because they're going to do your nails? I haven't gone for a spa treatment since the pandemic. I haven't been able to do all those kind of things. I'm looking forward to a situation where we take the lessons from this pandemic and make our world, this is our world, and take our world better and make our world better. Amen. It's not enough to say that we've gotten over the pandemic, but we take the lessons and make our world better. One thing I learned from the lockdown in Ireland was that a lot of people are so lonely. There are too many people who are depressed. So many people carry loneliness around and they smile, right? And you think everything is hunky-dory. It is not. So many people don't know who to share their issues. They're not looking for you to advise them. They just want a listening ear. They just want someone to shut up and listen, and they can pour and pour and pour. And that's what's been happening over the past few weeks with a lot of people that have been calling me. So what I would love to do next is to have a place that people can come and feel like themselves without being judged, and just come and be themselves. No sense of guilt, no sense of, oh, they're going to look at me one way, they're going to think I'm this way. No, just come and be human. And when you step out that door, when you're returning, because you've been so positively impacted, you will come back with somebody else who you also want to make their lives better. So that's what I'm looking for next. That's what I'm working on now. It's a center that I believe is going to make a huge impact in my community. And I have people who are working on that with me already. I have an advisory board on that who are working night and day to ensure that we deliver what we want to see and that people see it as exactly what it is. Like I mentioned earlier on, I love the community spirit that has so exploded within my community. And I want to keep that. I want to keep that.
Wow.
I'm very focused on businesses right now. A number of businesses have suffered as a result of this pandemic. I'm encouraging people in my Navan community to shop local, buy local, stay local, because our businesses are the ones that really keep our communities thriving. The taxes that are paid, the rates that are paid into our county councils, a lot of it come from local businesses. And if they're not thriving, there's no way they're going to be able to pay those rates. So we need to keep them going. We need to keep them open. So I'm encouraging people to shop in your different communities as well. Shop local. Become one of those people who keep the doors of your community businesses open, right? Whatever you can get local, buy it local. Look, it might cost you an extra euro or two, but you have to consider the cost of also shipping whatever you're ordering. You know, if you can find it local, buy it local so that we can help sustain our local businesses and build them. I'm working with women in my community. I'm encouraging a lot of mothers who are struggling right now. I'm encouraging them to keep that spirit up, because if our mothers are thinking straight, it will impact our children.
100%.
The children are going to be going back to school, please God, very soon. And we want children who go back to school who feel some sense of, this is going to be okay because my mom and dad say so. This is going to be fine because my mom has told me that this is going to work. But for women to be able to deliver that, they have to be in a space in their minds where they also feel empowered. Women are concerned about stepping out, going back to work because they're not sure about childcare for the children. So these are some of the things that I'm working on. I'm very particular about them. And I'm hoping that, you know, there are things that will happen that would help make my community better. And globally, I'm encouraging people, whatever you can do, don't say it's too small. Everyone brings something. That thing you bring, you're probably sitting there thinking, well, if everybody's not thinking it and I'm the only one thinking it, then maybe it's not good. Actually, that's why you are thinking it. You're the one who's meant to make it happen. That happens to me a lot. I'm sitting in a meeting and people are talking, they're all talking about this, they're talking about one thing in the same way. And I'm thinking, but don't you see what I see? And it's only when I say that, like, oh, actually, we didn't think of that. So maybe you're the one with the vision to bring about a change. Don't second guess yourself. Step in there and do it. And others will follow you. There will be somebody who believes in it. Don't be afraid. Step in and get it done.
I love it. So when can people join the MIB classes? Because I've attended one day and I did mention that to you. One thing that I actually took my takeaway on that day was having the board of advisors within your company, because we met in, I was one of the blessed 200 women entrepreneurs last year globally from Africa. I represented Eritrea and we met on AWEC, right?
African Women Entrepreneurs Cooperative.
Yes, a phenomenal group of fellow women, and now we're part of the fellowship. And I genuinely was so blessed to be amongst you guys, amongst these queens that I call them our queens. And you're one of the people, I mean, one of the amazing people that personally touched me before even I met you through the Sheroes, because my sister actually was looking into it, and then she said, "Hey, do you know about this?" And that's how I actually started checking on you. But little that I know, yes, little that I know, when you had this MIB conference set up, I was like, regardless, I need to attend, and it was brilliant. When can people join that course, and what do they need to do to join that course?
Okay, so first thing I would say is we're rebuilding our website. So you wouldn't see the website now. There's a lot of work being done in the background. So it will be back on very soon. Okay. But in the meantime, what I can encourage you to do is one of two things. You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Sharing with Yemi, SHARING with Yemi. Y-M, it's all one word. Yeah. And if you type in my name, Yemi Aduenuga, you might see it there. So follow me on Instagram. So any update that comes up, you get to see it. Or follow me on Facebook, Yemi Aduenuga, and you get to see all the updates there. So all of the updates, or on my website, my own personal website, on the events section. Once we have anything come up, it goes on the events section of the website. So you can also check there. But the quickest way, the most organic way, is to follow me on Instagram, unfollow me, or you can follow me on Facebook, and you'll see it immediately. We have, the next conference coming up, or once our website is live, it's redone and it's live again, you get to see it. Or when a course comes up, you can register for it straight away. We have some courses running already now, and the classes are full. Sorry, but don't worry, new courses are coming up that you can register for.
Amazing. Thank you so much for blessing our platform today. Until we come to London and we have this conversation with full of women, I cannot wait to see you. I wish you all the best of luck and serving the community that you currently serve. And hopefully I wish all the healing to the whole wide world, so that we all come out of this better and amazing as we need to be.
Amen. Thank you so much for having me, Mary Magdalene.
No,
you have a fantastic show. Well done for the great work that you're doing. I am so proud of you. I'm delighted to have you as a mentee. I'm super proud of you. You are a global, phenomenal woman. I tell you that all the time, and you have to believe it. You are going to change the world. You bring something so special that nobody else brings. So keep that at the back of your mind all the time. I am proud of you, delighted to have been on your show today. Thank you for having me. I am humbled.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yemi. Thank you so much, Councillor. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. We love you. Until next time, see you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.